What's at this chem lab?
More chems, but you'll never...
Tell me what you know first.
Well, okay. The lab is in the old four-leaf fish packing plant. On the water.
Let's hear about all this.
The place is over.
I assume there's more.
You assume. The real... You never even know.
So how do I get in?
With a password. What? So... I have...
And you promised to not tell Morale?
Screw you. I already gave you more than enough. I'm out.
What's at this chem lab?
More chems, but you'll never...
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Sure. Tell me what you know first.
Well, the lab is in the...
Let's hear about all the security.
The place...
Right. I assume there's more to it than getting...
You assume. The real... You never...
So how do I get...
With a password. So...
And you promised...
Yeah, of course. Password. There. I hope you can...
Sorry, Trish. So that's that. I told you it was no problem. The money should still be on Nelson's body. And then there's these chems, which you'll need to sell somehow. But that's your problem now. I'm leaving town. For good. Should make things easier for Paul to have... Plus, there's no plausible way I could explain to Morowski how I wasn't involved in this unless I die here along with everyone else. Good to see you.
What's new, Cook?
Oh, hey. Hi. Oh, hey. Hi.
Got a minute, Cook?
Good to see you. Hi.
What the hell was that?
We're so dead.
You're nothing. Nothing.
Sweet. Hi.
Looking for Diamond City? Just follow the signs.
That son of a bitch, Sergeant Reiser, caught me trying to have a look at the warehouse. And that asshole actually drew his weapon on me. Look, Perry, I know you two came up together and all, but I'm telling you that guy is dirty, and I need you to have my back on this. Those ration crates didn't just go...
গিলের লগে কথা বলছি ও না না চলতেছে দোস্ত আলহামদুলিল্লাহ honestly. I'm not entirely sure what to even say to this. Oh, okay.
Got it. Yeah, in the name of the most beneficent and merciful. No, but I hope. Mama, there are so many. No, there are so many people like who are Muslims but have tattoos. I mean, like weird enough, Mama. Jake Matthews has a lot of tattoos, but he's a very good Muslim, I would say. Like a very good Muslim, Mama. He's a good person. ওরা অ্যাকচুয়ালি মামা দুইটা জিনিস জানে যে দুইটা জিনিস আমাগো চোখের সামনে সারা জীবন থাইকা আমরা ওডি খায়া পিন্দা গেলেও সাম রিজন আমগো মাথার উপরে দেয়া যায় মামা and it's ignorance. Wow, those it's beautiful, mama. এই পরের দুইটা সূরা, সূরা বাকারা and the surah right after is very important. It'll like you can derive every single problem that you go through, like the answers from those two chapters, mama. মানে Islamic problems and stuff. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, someone booked one on me and found like, you know, incredible. I know those. Those কোনো প্যারা নেই এটা দোস্ত এই এই জিনিসটা নিয়ে ওই যে আমি কয়েকদিন ধরে লাইক আই হ্যাভ বিন স্টাক অন লাইক সূরা শুআরা মামা সূরাটা এত বিউটিফুল মামা ইটস ইনসেন সো লাইক ওই যে I sent you like two verses from it, right? Which Yawma la yanfa'u malu wala banun, like wait, hold on. I think I saved all of those like so like that's 2668. And it says which is the one that I read in my prayer arki, like ekhon. It's like it says the day when neither wealth nor children will be of any benefit. Only those who come before Allah with a pure heart will be saved. On that day, paradise will be brought near to the God-fearing, and the hellfire will be displayed to the deviant. And it will be said to them, where are those you used to worship besides Allah? Can they help you or even help themselves? Then the idols will be hurled headlong into hell, along with the deviant and the soldiers of Iblis altogether. They were there, the deviants will cry while disputing their idols. By Allah, we were clearly mistaken. But ওইটার পরে like they will ওই যে তুই যেটা বললি, the misleaders will blame themselves, like they will blame the devil, they will blame shaitan, and then shaitan will say, I have no, like, I didn't tell you to do this, I just like encouraged you and you did this on your own. Yeah. এটাই, like there was this sheikh বুঝছস, ওই sheikh রে জিগাইছে যে sheikh, what is the sign of a hypocrite, and sheikh এমন একটা answer দিছে মামা, I was like, মানে it's an Arabic sheikh, so he was speaking Arabic আর কি, but I was reading like the translation and everything. So he said that like a sign of a hypocrite who claims to be a Muslim আর কি. So his answer was, when you see that when somebody makes a mistake and they suddenly appear, but like in times of practice and everything else, you won't find them. And I was like, damn, that just explains the Rafsaner situation. Mama, ওই যে এলাহিরে নিয়াও আমি ওরে he like symbolizes the verse like someone fahum la yarjun, because like he has eyes but he can't really see, or like boy portase but he doesn't, like the words don't. Yeah, mama, it's like it's insane, and his heart is closed, like it's, and আমি ওরে ওই সময় কইতেছিলাম যে like, damn bro, like you're, that sounds very hypocritical, like you're a hypocrite then. Mama, ওই জিনিসটা, like in the beginning of the Quran, it is literally like একদম পুরা সূরা বাকারার শুরুতেই there is one verse that will tell you if it's like, if this book is, because like ওইখানে there is this one verse which basically says that regardless of what you tell them, if they don't want to believe, they will not get anything from you. Like they won't understand anything. So like there is no point. Like this book is for the believer, and basically like if you're looking to not believe, then it's not for you, kind of like there is no, like you don't even come into this whole thing. দালিকাল কিতাবুল রাইবা ফি শুরুতে হয় দালিকাল কিতাবুল হুদাল লিল মুত্তাকিন, like this book is for the believers, and it doesn't contain a single mistake. There is no book that, because like even when I was learning academic writing, আমার professor আমারে like বারবার কইতেছিল, like his advice to me specifically, because I did show him my work and he was telling me like, hey man, nuance is key. Like you're very strongly not opinionated, but you're conveying the information and not leaving like, room for other people and stuff, like on a nuanced, and nuance is key. And he kept telling me that, and ওইটার পরে আমি আমার সবকিছু অনেক like হালকা পাতলা একটু shallow কইরা লিখছি, although like it was pretty nice. But ওই জিনিসটা তো like there is nothing that claims such things like, oh, this book doesn't have any mistakes, it doesn't contain a single even the Bible doesn't. And it's pretty insane, boy. এইটাই গো। Oh, it's funny. Like, what the fun, it's hilarious to an extent because Mehrav apparently tries to debunk the Quran on his spare time on and all this, yet I have zero clue about what he was talking about because, like, he never spoke to me regarding this or anything, even like a single shred of this and that. Like, oh, hamare, haha, let's go ahead. Of course he didn't. He probably goes and, you know, yeah. Those I absolutely get it, and those even if he does, like, it's up to him to really make sense of things, and ও যদি এতটুক না করতে পারে তাইলে like Yeah, yeah. সূরা ফাতিহা ছাড়া your prayer is invalid straight up. তুই যদি সূরা ফাতিহার পরে if you don't recite anything, yeah, এটাই like সূরা ফাতিহার পরে if you don't recite anything, it's still okay because it is a big part of the sunnah, but it is still fine. Your prayer will still be valid. If you forget to recite Surah Fatiha, then your prayer, like you have to do it again. Hold it, yeah, yeah. Th- like scholars say that like if you read Surah Baqarah and Surah Al Imran, like the chapter right after it, এই দুইটা চ্যাপ্টারে like all sorts of problems that you can face in life, you can basically derive solutions for it through these two chapters. And this is why these two chapters are basically like, even when I was like young, I'm go like school, like they would teach us the meanings of like, you know, these two surahs, like surah আমি ভুলা টুইলা গেছি, and you know at that time I didn't really pay attention, and you know like the teachers had their own way of going by it and everything. So it was like um I was ignorant age, but now that I'm like reading back into it more, it is like, and there is this imam butchers, like he's this British man, and he's like a British man, like not like migrated or anything. So like, oh, he's the imam of like this mosque in UK. I forgot, like I think it's in Birmingham or something, but he's very well known. And or like Jumar lecture gula, like they uploaded on YouTube. So I was listening to like one of the lectures that he has, and then or lecture shesh kora, like there was this guy like who asked him a question, which was like you know, what is your favorite verse or like segment, and or like, you know, what is that one part of the Quran that he really likes? And he said this very interesting thing. He was like, well, to me the Quran is like a sea. It's like sometimes I will read it and something will really catch my attention, and then I will be stuck with that for like a lot of thought and time. And it's like a sea that, you know, when I start reading it, some bits are like elevated to me and some bits are like, you know, pretty normal. And then the other times when I read it again, things are very different. And the craziest thing is like there was this companion of the Prophet, I forgot the name, but you know, may Allah be pleased with them. He used to read the Quran like once a day, every single day. Like, so the Prophet, he would read the entire thing every single day. So, like, one day the Prophet asked him, like, hey, do you read the Quran often? And he was basically like, yes, I read it every day. So the Prophet said, oh, you make it too hard for yourself and like everyone else around you too. Like, it's okay, just read it once a month. Just read it once a month. And this is why you will see this kind of being practiced still to this like Ramjan mashe আমরা যে কই না যে খতম খতম like you know mama that's because we just read it once a month. So like people try to read it once a month, but it would be better if people also understood, especially like Amgo subcontinental manus who don't speak native Arabic, because those like even Egyptians and all these like other dialects of Arabic, they have to learn Arabic in order to like truly understand the Quran. And Arabic মানে Quranের যে dialect, the closest dialect you have to it is Fusha, which is like it's the like the most eloquent and well thought version of like the language. So like ওরাও মামা মানে even native Arabic speakers and us included, we all need to like understand the meaning of it properly, like of course like somebody who somewhat speaks Arabic would still understand more than others, but then you still don't understand, like oh yeah, I did. Goes. এটাই মামা like you will see so many things catch up to you, like তোর চোখে অনেক জিনিস লাগবো, because ওই যে I'm gonna just like direct you to the Sheikh and his answer, because he says that like every time he reads the Quran it's different for him, so he couldn't come up with like a concrete answer for like, hey, this is my most favorite verse, because he just is like, you know আজকে আমার এটা like today this verse is like resonating with me, tomorrow it's gonna be a different one. So that's why like mama it really does transcend, and ওই যে like Mustafa Khattaber এটা যে like this grandiose thing. Those এইটাই, that's the thing. No, interesting you say that, because so like during the early times of Islam there was this guy who was from one of the most noblest and the most richest families in Makkah, who also at that time happened to be very much against Islam, and basically he has led battles against the Prophet and the Muslim people, because like they would prosecute them for being a Muslim and then kill them and stuff like this. অনেক বাজে একটা situation ছিল. So he has led multiple wars, mama, multiple wars directly against the Muslim, where he was like commanding position. Later down the line, he becomes a Muslim, right? And he is forgiven. Like mama, like his wife basically his wife was Hind, and Hind ordered. So the Prophet had this like one uncle Hamza. I mean, right? You see Rakib talk about Hamza all the time. So Hamza was like a warrior, mama, and he was like one of the first believers and the most beloved to the Prophet, because Shuru Shamay, when there was no one, there was Hamza who protected the Muslims. She hated Hamza so much that she hired a slave, asked him to kill him and bring her his liver so she could chew on it. And, the slave did exactly that. And later on, even the slave and her, like the woman that chewed on the Prophet's uncle's liver, who was like the Prophet rigid, like cried, and like he went through a hard time, mama, because of that, because like his uncle was like very beloved to him. And mama, ছোটবেলায়, like Hamza was, and in the early times, like, the Prophet was being oppressed at the gate of like Kaaba. So ওই সময় like Hamza was like, if my nephew says so, I believe in it. And if there is anyone that like disagrees, they can come and fight me for a duel, and I will, we will see, like, if truth prevails. Like that was his like thought. And this is how he became a Muslim, because he always said, like, if there is one person that never lied, it's the Prophet. Like, because like he was always like that, even before, the revelation came to him. He was very different. So he believed in him. He gets killed, and like the same woman becomes a Muslim later on, and she was reluctant because, like, the Prophet when his uncle passed away, it was the time when he wanted to like যে আমাদের বাংলাদেশে একটা টার্ম আছে না, যে বিলাপ করা, like, চিল্লা চিল্লা কান্নাকাটি করা, like you go crazy, like you lose yourself basically. So, the Prophet wanted to do that, but he couldn't, and and he also had to like stay strong, because like Hamza wasn't the only martyr. Like, it was like a very bad thing, arki. And she was reluctant to go in front of the Prophet because she chewed on the liver of Hamza. But then the Prophet came to her and basically told her, like, it's okay, you're forgiven. So her husband was also one of the generals, যেটার কথা আমি কইলাম, like Abu Sufyan. Like, he later on became a Muslim, and he inflicted so much pain and suffering on the Muslims. Like, even after becoming a Muslim, he was always afraid that Allah would strike him with lightning or something. And there are recollections. So Mama, it's incredible, because like when he was, like when he was waging war against the Prophet, his own daughter became a Muslim, and she was outcasted by them. And she, her husband passed away. She didn't have anyone to be taking care of her, and she was basically a refugee, because like Mokka theke shobai bayr kore dise. So she's traveling to the land of Abyssinia, this woman who doesn't have anybody, like legit, like her whole family, they're out to kill her. She doesn't have a husband because her husband was like murdered by the same people that she's currently running away from. And this is the reason why, like, when she was traveling to Abyssinia, the Prophet sent her a marriage proposal, because like she didn't have anyone, mama. And it was because if she is the Prophet the wife of the Prophet, when she travels to Abyssinia, she would have safety. And basically like a letter পাঠাইছিল, and Abu Sufyan was basically like, he hated the Prophet at that time. And যখন Abu Sufyan, and he hated the Prophet at that time. But he later on became a Muslim. But ওই সময় ও যখন মানে he's hunting down his own daughter. Like, this is how crazy it is. So like ও যখন জানতে পারছে যে like the Prophet sent her a marriage proposal, he was like one of the worst enemies of the Prophet, but he still said, that's a noble stallion that should not be denied. because like the prophet did come from like one of the noble families. So he was like, yeah, that is a good man. Like if somebody sends a marriage like although he hated him at that time, he still couldn't deny the virtues of like, the prophet. And basically, she had safe refuge because of the prophet, marrying her. And এইটাই মামা এইটাই and she made like she she loved her father, but people like he did so much for like against the Muslims like early times. Like there was this once before he even became a Muslim, like onek pore he went to visit her, and when he entered the house, right, the his daughter basically folded the like খাটের উপরে যেই like mattress-এর মতো থাকে না, she folded it. So Abu Sufyan was like, is this because like, I have done you wrong, like, and I'm your father, or is it because like I'm, like I'm mean to the Muslims and like, the prophet and everything. So she was like, you like this is the mattress where the prophet sits and you don't deserve to sit on it. But when he became a Muslim, she made one of the longest sujud in her life out of gratitude to Allah that Allah saved him. And he even had a son, Muawiyah. So like even his son secretly became a Muslim, and he would write for the prophet and he would like document, and he was like studying, and later on became like a politician onek pore, like after the prophet passed away. But like he was, and this is his hadith where he said that. So he was a pagan. He was the মানে মামা he was the head pagan basically. আমি তোরে বলি like কাবাতে, so the place of Makkah, ওই জায়গায় তোর different country থেকে yeah. So like the thing is like Arab land at that time was like amidst like highest the peak of like polytheism. So what it basically meant, and especially like when it comes to Abu Sufyan, is they would আমি তোরে like একটু historical context, they like he was the leader of the tribes, like the Quraysh tribes, and he was the richest. মানে ওর আশেপাশে দিয়ে ওরে মাইনছে কমপ্লিমেন্ট দিয়া ফাটায় ফালাইতো, and he would like throw gold coins at them, and he would sacrifice like মানে on a whim এমনি, like this is nothing special. Oh, sacrifice 100 animals for like the gods, like as as a tribute to the gods and stuff, like এমনি ওর মন চাইছে ও করতাছে every other day. Like he was like known to be this, and the way their land worked was সব জায়গা থেকে like all over the place, from anywhere anybody could bring any kind of god. So different paganra different like they would bring different kind of idols. So সবাই ওই জায়গায় like কাবাতে আনতো, and they would have like a little bit of like a festival thing going on, and like all the gods are like মানে ওইখানে আছে, and it would generate them a lot of money, especially Abu Sufyan, because like it was good for business. Because like if there is one god and no idol, how are they gonna live? Because সবাই এখানে আহেই তো মনে কর like to bring in their idols, and অন্যান্য যত ধরনের মূর্তি টূর্তি আছে, and there were like specific idols that they used to like worship, like Manat, Lat, and Uzza. Like these are deities, like deities as in like an idol of a woman. So like ওইগুলারে ওরা হলো worship করতো, and he was basically the head mama because he belonged to the most powerful family, and he had the most political power and everything, and he used to run that place. So Muslimra যখন আইছে, that's what like was bothering him, like like I'm gonna lose everything, I'm gonna lose all my business and all this and that, like how can you say this? And তারপরে during the early times, একদম শুরুর দিকে, that's when like the revelation hasn't even like come properly. The prophet was মানে একদম শুরুতে just like the prophet was like the angel Jibril like Aisha just খালি বলছে যে like ইকরা বিসমি রাব্বিকাল the first verse ever that was revealed to the prophet, guess what it says? So the prophet was meditating in the cave. The angel comes, and the angel, like when the angel came, the prophet was afraid of him. And he was like, and he was like afraid of him because like he has never experienced anything like this. And then Jibril says the first verse. Jibril says, Iqra, which means read. And the prophet says, I cannot read. And then Jibril went and basically hugged him really tight. And he hugged him so tight that he thought that his bones are gonna break. Like ribs iagula bhanga jabe. Like he squeezed him rather. Like he squeezed him really hard, and he said again, Iqra bismi rabbikal ladhi khalaq. Read in the name of the creator who created you. Hados? Goes Ikra bismi rabbikal ladhi khalaq. Read in the name of your Lord who created you. Those এটা একটা সূরা আছে. It's in the 30th section. It's bismi rabbikal ladhi khalaq. Rabbikal ladhi khalaq. That means like read in the name of the one who created you. And this surah has been Asatara, let me this was the first verse that was revealed to the prophet. Oh, okay, so listen, Mama. This is incredible. Iqra bismi rabbikal ladhi khalaq, khalaqal insana min alaq. The first two verses revealed, and it says, read, O prophet, in the name of your Lord, who created humans from a clinging clot. Iqra wa rabbukal akram. Created humans from a clinging clot, like a small blood clot. That's 96:1 and 96:2 verses. 96. It's beautiful. And then Abar, like when he kept saying that I can't read. That's 96:1. 96 chapter. Surah Alaq, yes. Iqra wa rabbukal akram. Read, and your Lord is the most generous. Alladhi allama bil qalam, who taught by the pen. Allama al insana ma lam ya'lam, taught humanity what they knew not. Kalla innal insana la yatgha, most certainly one exceeds all bounds. Allahu staghna, once they think they are self-sufficient. Like inna ila rabbika ruja, but surely your Lord is the return of all. And so ওইটার পরে like the later verses came আর একটু পরে the prophet was being it's incredible. His own family was the worst to him. Like one of his own uncles, like blood relative uncle, Mama, Abu Lahab, he was like so weird that when the prophet would go out and basically tell people, calling calling towards Allah and like the believer, or he would say, "Oh, he's my nephew. He's a little crazy. Don't worry about anything he has to say. Like, he would say stuff like this, and he would inflict the most amount of pain, going as far as plotting to kill the Prophet and failing multiple times. Like, and Orenia, those Orenia, there were like a couple of verses revealed, Mama. যে last Surah Alaq's last দিকে যে আরাআইতা আল্লাযী ইয়ানহা. This indicates Abu Lahab. It doesn't directly say it, but as Muslims, we all see the striking resemblance of him in here. Like, have you seen the man who prevents a servant of ours from praying? What if this servant is rightly guided or encourages righteousness? What if that man persists in denial and turns away? Does he not know Allah sees all? But no, if he does not desist, we will certainly drag him by the forelock, a lying, sinful forelock. So let him call his associates, who will call the wardens of hell. This indicates Abu Lahab, Mama. No. This is from Surah Alaq. Yeah. It's the 96th chapter. Yeah. Like ওটার ফার্স্ট এর ভার্সেস গুলা, and then like আরো পরে আরো কতগুলা ভার্সেস আসছে indicating him. That's like the consensus among scholars আর কি. But Mama, it's yeah. The Prophet was so, Mama, এটাই like ওই যে ওই ইন্টারাকশনের পরে he was like so caught, like flustered by it. He went home and he had like a very high fever and stuff, and that was the moment when he was like saying to his wife, like, who will believe me now, like, like, and those, like, even if you read the Quran, like তুই এমন জিনিস, like, you will see great examples of the Quran literally playing out right in front of your eyes. And then sometimes, like, I went through this thing where I felt like at one point, like, am I like, okay in the head? Like, am I going crazy? Or is this like some sort of weird thing? And then there is this one surah, which was like, it's in 29th section. It's the surah is called, Surah Qalam. And the first verse of that surah is like, Noon wal qalami wa ma yasturun, which means like, by the pen. It's like, it's an oath, like, how we say by God, or like, I swear by God. Like, it's the same idea basically. Like, so it says like, first the chapter will tell you, like, by the pen and what everyone writes. Ma anta bini'amati rabbika bimajnun. By the grace of your Lord, you are not insane. And I was Surah Qalam? হ্যাঁ, because like ওই যে আবু লাহাবের কথা কইলাম না, আবু লাহাব would go out and he would say like, oh, he's crazy, he's my nephew, shit like this. And this is what we derived. And when all of these things, like, yes, it was said to the Prophet, but this is like, yeah. ওমা ওই যে ইসরায়েলিরা তো এখনো করে এগুলো ইসরায়েল আমেরিকা they're like oh we're the peacekeepers but you're dropping bombs and killing people but okay. His uncle was like one of the worst people. Like Abu Lahab was the one of the worst people until the end. মামা তারপরে মামা আমি তোর একটা ফানি ঘটনা কই বুঝছস this is a pretty funny story so I'm sure like you have heard about Umar ibn al-Khattab. He was one of the companions of the prophet, right? He was very মামা he was very strong so it like ও একদিন বুঝছস like oh that's Ali radiallahu anhu like but Umar was the second caliph. Umar. In his time, the golden age of Muslims came, and then we never saw it again. In his time, Umar ibn Mama. In his time, he was basically the ruler of pretty much half the continent. He also had control over Jerusalem, and he had all access to all the riches and everything. But then he would roam the streets at night wearing a beggar's clothes like a thief because ওর টাইমে কোনো চোর ছিল না so he would go out like a thief like you know মানুষের বাসার পাশ দিয়ে হাইটা হাইটা যাইতো and he would try to hear if anyone is suffering or if anyone is crying and because like he always felt this obligation যে if I am a leader আর আমার আন্ডারে যদি মানুষ মনে কর like কষ্ট পাইতেছে I will have to answer to Allah for all of this so like he had to, and then there was this one night when he ended up like একটা বুড়ির দরজার বাইরে গিয়া he Omar ibn al-Khattab Omar ibn al-Khattab Omar ibn al-Khattab আর কি so like in his time he saw this man butchers who was like who had a protruding belly and stuff like basically like you know somebody it's like hear this interaction now it's like pretty interesting and there is this man who's not fit and he basically has a protruding belly and everything so Omar goes up to him and Omar says yeah Rajul like hey man like what is this like he points at his like belly protruding belly and the guy he rubs his belly and he says this is barakah from Allah and Omar looks at him and he goes this is a punishment from Allah he's like no this is a punishment from Allah like you know if you have this then you know that you know Allah is asking something from you and Allah wants you to like work through these things and oh man it's like but how man it's like it's been দোস্ত দোস্ত এই জিনিসটা ওই যে আমি তোরে একটা ওই যে রয় খাসা গ্রান্ডার একটা মানে পডকাস্টের একটা এপিসোড পাঠাইছিলাম ওই যে খালিদ ইবনাল ওয়ালিদ দ্য প্রোফাইল অফ আ ওয়ারিয়ার মামা ওই পডকাস্টে একদিন টাইম থাকলে তুই শুনিস মামা it might be a little long but the fun thing is it covers multiple stories বুঝছস like অনেকগুলা স্টোরি আছে and they are all awesome like he will tell you about how the Persian Empire and the Roman Empire was at war and you know like what they were doing before Islam and Yeah, those ওইটা আমি ধরে পাঠাবো না। It's like a yeah, yeah, mama. And also like you don't push your own agendas and whatnot, you know. কোনটা ওই যে ওমারের স্টোরি? Oh, no, no, this is not in the Quran. Those, the Quran is like, so there is only one companion of the Prophet that was mentioned in the Quran, by the way. And this is why, like, the Quran is truly, Mama, it's like, it's truly something else because it doesn't revolve around, like, not like a, like, there is, it's very weird, Mama. Like, it doesn't just talk about, like, oh, what the Prophet did and his companions, but rather it gives you a lot of history lessons and things that have happened before and stuff like this. Yeah. So, oh, this is a hadith, Mama. This is a hadith. Those like the words of the prophet are actually different from the words of God. So this is why there is this distinction of basically like not everything that we come across or everything that the prophet said is actually the word of Allah. Because like word of Allah was revealed to him differently than his own words, and his own words hold a different kind of meaning, and it's like completely separate from the Quran. Like Quran and Riyata Mama, like it's like it talks about so many different things. Like ওই যে সূরা শুআরার কথা কইতেছিলাম না, সূরা শুআরাতে it talks about the story of Musa when he went to the Pharaoh, and Pharaoh বুঝছস like ওরে মানে he called him like fake, basically a magician. So he said that, oh, whatever trickery you're gonna do, I'm gonna do even better. So Pharaoh, what he did was he gathered all the magicians in the world and brought them to compete with like the miracles of Moses. And ওরা যখন আসছে, so the one of the miracles of Musa alayhi salam was like Allah told him to basically drop মানে those like these are all like tests of faith in my opinion, because like at one moment Allah tells him to drop his cane. He drops his cane and it turns into a snake, and he's afraid of it, and it doesn't make any sense to him. এটাই so স্নেকটা দেখা এটাই স্নেকটা দেখা ও ভয় পায়া গেছে, but then Allah told him to pick it up again. And that is like, if that is not a test of faith, Mamaji, like you're being told to pick up a snake that you don't even know. Like, and he was afraid, but that's the thing. Like, when Allah tells you to do so, you do it, and it turned back into like a cane again. So a same cane ta, it was for like the Pharaoh. So he could believe in it, and even Allah says like this is gonna be one of the last signs for them. Like etar pore jodi like like this is not a favor to you or anything. So he brought all the magicians that he had access to in the world, and ওরা সবাই আইছে, and the goal is they're all going to create snakes like Moses. So what they did was, yeah, so like however they go by it, they're just gonna create a snake out of thin air. That was the whole point. So like Moses, like Ora Pura Musa, like they're gonna copy the miracle. So all sorts of magicians came and they all went by different ways. Some of them made a snake from rope, some of them made a snake from like small sticks, branches, and like different মানুষ different জিনিস use করছে. So then Allah told Musa, like drop your cane, and like فَأَلْقَى عَصَاهُ فَإِذَا هِيَ ثُعْبَانٌ مُبِينٌ, like drop your cane, and he did, and then it turned into a snake, and then it devoured all the other snakes. And when that happened, all the magicians fell into prostration because they knew that it was not magic. Yeah, মানে different মানুষ মামা different জিনিস use করছে তো, so like some of them were tricks, some of them were like, maybe they were some kind of like illusions, but anything could happen. And those like this is how, so like তুই যদি সূরা বাকারা মামা আরেকটু আগে মানে পড়তে পড়তে যদি আরো আগাস, so you're gonna come across this, like these two angels who were sent down to the people of Babylon. The angel's name is Harut and Marut, and it was a test for the people, that if people would wish to learn forbidden things like magic. And guess what happened? People did. And it was a test for the people to see if they would commit forbidden acts and like, do learn forbidden magic. Like the angels came down with knowledge basically as a test for people. See, this is why, like, you should never let your, like, if you are a bit more knowledgeable, you learn something, you should never let it get to you, because it will harbor the worst kind of ignorance now, worst kind of arrogance, mama. Mane, it's like the fitna of knowledge is like insane. So দুইটা angel আসছিল as a test for people, and the people decided to learn magic, which was forbidden, and they would use this magic to basically cause division among people, deceive each other, and like married couple gulare alada koira dito, jadu madu koira, and all this. And that is where basically the forbidden knowledge sort of like, the whole thing about magic came from, because Allah gave us free will and we chose it. Like it is something we willfully chose as humans, like, hey, we're gonna learn magic. It's like Harut and Marut thega, like, people learned how to commit magic. It's pretty insane, no? No, I mean, this happened like a long time ago. অনেক আগে. Yeah. So it's like there are এখন মানে ম্যাজিকের জিনিসটা কি মামা, it's like a blanket term, like you have like so much stuff in the Quran, like, Iblis has his own people and he's a jinn, so he uses like, jinns to basically um, do his bidding. Jinns who hate humans and they harbor this hatred for them because Allah created them before, and then Allah created humans, which makes us better. So they innately have this hatred for us, like shuru theka, je like, like this form of jealousy or whatever for our existence, because we came to be and we're like so normal, right? And what yeah, why was it necessary for them to be destroyed? Those, that is the perspective of Iblis. Iblis, like, uh, মানে, when Allah told everything, like when Allah made Adam, alayhi salam, so Adam alayhi salam, like, and this is before anything, like, like this is before anything even like came to existence. It was just Adam. তো তুই যে এই যে আমি যে চ্যাপ্টারটার কথা বলতেছি মামা, এটা তুই একটু সামনেই পাবি, লাইক সূরা বাকারাতে এগুলো নিয়ে কথা বলা আছে। And interesting bit is, হ্যাঁ মামা, interesting bit is like there is this verse which basically goes khalaqatani min nari wa khalaqatahu min tin, which mean tin মানে হচ্ছে clay, like clay as in like মানে when Allah created humans, he molded them like clay. Yeah, like like how clay can be molded. He molded us like that of clay, and we don't have like, 'cause like it is a linguistic thing, so we are still trying to grasp better understanding of it. But basically, however we are, Allah created us and Allah molded us into who we are. So like Adam alayhis salam যখন বানাইছে তখন even before his life was blown and he was being molded, Iblis didn't like that. He felt this like weird jealousy when it came to like Adam. So when Allah gave him life, like he felt superior and he's like, I am so pious with you, like why would you create something like this? This is like a disrespect to everything I do, and all this. And etar jonno, like when Allah gave Adam alayhis salam life, angels are created from light, mama, like straight up nur, which is the Arab, like the translation for it is light. They're created from light, and jinns created from fire. But humans, we are created by the likes of clay, molded and stuff like this. So when Allah gave Adam life, he told everything to basically prostrate to Adam. Everything fell in sujood to him, all the angels and everything, except one person who objected. And he basically said, the verse that came like khalaqtani min nari wa khalaqtahu min tin, like you created him from clay when I am made from fire, like like how can you ask me to prostrate to him? And oitar por theke mama, like he basically asked Allah for permission so he could lead us astray, and Allah granted him that, because like even Iblis made his decision, like he given free will. And mama, like, so we have this thing. Thus, Iblis was Allah's favorite because Iblis worshipped Allah by his own will. Why wouldn't he be Allah's favorite, Angels do not disobey Allah. Iblis has the will. They don't have free will, but Iblis does, like us. So, no, he still does, mama. No, even now. It's just like he made his decision. Like, like he made the decision, like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do. So, he had the free will, and he was very beloved by Allah, where Allah granted him access to the heavens. Allah granted him access to basically be around the angels, elevated him to the to the heavens basically, and every good that he committed was being paid off, because Allah would grant him things instantly, almost, because he was like super pious, right? So ekta point he ends up like disobeying, but oitar age, so they, like we believe like everything before it was like created and stuff, it was like there is this thing like there is this place or like this idea. I still don't know, মানে এটা একটা spiritual ব্যাপার, but আমি তোর একটা idea দিতে পারি, which is like imagine a place where you have everything that has ever come to existence and everything that will ever exist, sort of like written there, like existing there as a form of knowledge or like writing or whatever. Like it's like a stone tablet that contains all kinds of information. So oikhane Iblis went there and we kind of like how can you tell? Oh, so you know, তো তারা আমি কই জানি ছিলাম, মামা একটু ভুলে গেছি কারণ yeah, it was always paid off, and the biggest favor Allah did him was basically granting him life till the end as a favor, and he also gave him the power to influence us. Like these are all in return for all the good that he did. And not even just that, like ও যখন লাউহে মাহফুজে ছিল, like this place, ওই যে আমি তোর যে জায়গার কথাটা বললাম যে like everything that will ever come, yeah, the place is called Lauhe Mahfuz. Like it's, I think it's different from my name, dog. Because like আমি একটা জিনিস খেয়াল করছি, আমার Arabic আমার নাম is written differently with a dot, but that word has like zaw. It is close to my pronunciation, but I don't think my name would be written like that. And but ওই জায়গাটা basically it is like the word in the Quran is mahfuz, like amarta. I recently, like আমি Arabic শিখতেছি, so like normally when people are named mahfuz, they have a dot at the end, like a hard sounding dot, like mahfud. Like that's how Arabic people like sort of like pronounce it. So আমি এটা নিয়ে একটু conflicted না, because like বুঝতাছি না কেমনে কি. But ওই জায়গাটা, and mama, get this, isn't it all interesting? Because if you look into like Buddhism and stuff like this, they have this place called, like, you know, the divine place, like the Akashic records, right? Where it talks about this place which holds all sorts of information of the future, the past and stuff. It's called Akashic records because like I was like really fascinated by the idea of Buddhism, and they also have hells, mama. Like, you know, people don't talk about like, oh, they think like, oh, you know, if you're like a Buddhist, you don't have to face hell and this and that. Like that's false. They do have Naraka, by the way, but না মামা, ওই যে তুই নারাকা নিয়া, like I would highly, like, it's a fun read, mama, I would say, because নারাকাতে বুঝছো, there are even descriptions of punishments that one would face for being a bad person. Like there is this thing called the blue lotus, which is like the blue lotus skin or something like this. Like you can probably look it up, mama, like it'll give you a better name, but something along the lines of blue lotus something. So what it basically says, like when a person is like bad, or they will be given a punishment where their skin will, you know, ooze with like this poisonous, like icy cold pimple type of thing, which will grow really big, and then they will blow up, and you know, people will of course be in pain, and it will look like they have blue lotuses growing out of them. Like this is one of the punishments that is actually mentioned, and this Akashic record. Na mama, pore ar ঢুকি নাই রে. Oh mama, খালা. Oh mama, খালা, আমি এখনো like I'm in the process. But those, Nice, man. Mama, অনেক nice for that. But I also feel terrible for like the cats and dogs, man. I don't even know how it's going for them. মামা কি আর কমু বাট দোস্ত লাইক এই যে লাউহে মাহফুজের কাহানি হ্যাঁ 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 ইনশাল্লাহ দোস্ত ইনশাল্লাহ আমি আমারও লাইক আই ডু হ্যাভ প্ল্যানস লাইক দিস those one thing I will tell you, like one of the reasons why I sort of like think of this idea of like a different passport a little differently now is the fact that like if I like switch my passport to a non-Muslim country, it's actually not like permissible. I think so far, like I'm যতটুকু দেখছি, there are difference of opinions, but it is not permissible. Like it's okay if you do it, but it is still not like suggested to according to a lot of scholars and stuff. And if you persevere, or like you can migrate to any Muslim country, however. So তুই যখন টার্কির কথাটা কইছস মামা আমার মাথায় like it dinged up a light bulb. So like, whoa, Turkey is a Muslim country. So I think it would be wonderful to be in Turkey for even like a week. Sorry, those unsolicited behavior.